because there are no bike lanes per se in at least 95% of Seoul. There are a few of them. And it's nice when they appear, but they tend to sort of peter out. They run for a few kilometers and then disappear, which means that the bike trail along the Hangang, along the Han River, is really marvelous. You know, it's around one of the best in the entire city. And you can use it in some respects as a way of getting around, commuting, but it's really mainly for exercise. Now, in terms of commuting, this is what I do. I ride on the sidewalk, and you'll notice the sidewalk is very wide. You'll also notice that when I started, or you may have noticed, when I started shooting this video, it was wider. It's narrowing here. I'm getting onto the road itself, and I'll get back onto the sidewalk in a second. Now, what tends to happen is because cars have parking spaces built in close to stores and drive onto the sidewalk to access those parking spaces, the sidewalks get very busy, not just because of the cars themselves, but there are a lot of these posts. These here exist for one reason and one reason only, and that's to keep cars from accessing the sidewalk at this particular point. It's a way of controlling car traffic. So the cars are allowed on the sidewalks, but there is an attempt to control how they access. Unfortunately, it establishes a pattern of sidewalks that become rather cluttered. And this sidewalk is starting to narrow. This yellow thing in the middle, I don't know what it is. It's not a bike path. I think it's probably for blind people, so they can, which is a good thought. So there is an attempt to really think of the needs of all of the citizens. So that this yellow strip, which is sort of rubberized, is a way for blind people to sort of know where they are as they walk down the sidewalk. But it's getting crowded. The parking built into the sidewalk is increasing, and here are more of these pole doohickeys that try to prevent cars from coming up. Now, those poles are they're plastic. They're painted to look like, they're painted sort of gunmetal gray to look like steel. But some of the savvy drivers who are jerks just drive over them because they push back. Now we're coming to an even more sort of crowded section. There's a little fruit market here. And this is not so common in my neighborhood, which is just filled with these sort of corporate convenience stores and supermarkets and stuff. But you'll find a lot of those sidewalk markets in Gangbuk, the northern part of Seoul. And again, they increase the vitality of the neighborhood, but they also make the sidewalk not a bike lane. And as we get closer to Naebang Jeoncheolyok, Naebang subway station, again, it seems to me that the sidewalk is narrowing more and more, and there's also more pedestrian traffic on it. When we started out, there were only maybe 2 or 3 people per block, but and there are animals, but they have their own space off the sidewalk. Again, congestion becomes an issue, and there's a car moving from its parking space, accessing the Bangbae-daero immediately through here. Before, the city built in these posts, you would every now and then see a car driver just driving down the sidewalk for an entire block. So putting them in is a good idea, but there's this general feeling of congestion. It sort of narrows the way people move, and I get blocked sometimes. I find it sort of annoying. I guess I shouldn't, but I find it annoying. I sort of get forced into the zone on my bike, and then slow-moving pedestrians who sort of step in front of me. And of course, because everybody's got their eyes glued to their cell phones, the pedestrians are kind of oblivious to what's around them a lot of the time. So when you're biking, you got to be careful. And finally, these electric scooters, which also use the sidewalks or use the road, depending on the courage of their drivers. They go pretty fast down a sidewalk. They're a little bit frightening. So something will have to be done in order to regulate them.